This is Danny Flexen here for SecondsOut. Delighted to be joined by unbeaten heavyweight and still English champion, I believe, Fabio Wardley.
Still for now. For now. Not for too much longer, but for now.
Looking to upgrade very soon to the British title. Last time we spoke, I was asking why we thought Joe Joyce had yet to vacate the British title. I interviewed him last week. I think he must have known that I was going to quiz him on it because he vacated swiftly. And Eddie Hearn, your promoter, made a request to the British Boxing Board of Control to upgrade the already ordered fight between yourself and Nathan Gorman for the English title to a British title fight, which they agreed. No date as yet, but looks like it's going to be on a Matchroom show. How happy are you that this is finally going to happen? It's been talked about for over a year.
Yeah, buzzing. Really, really buzzing. Like it's been a long time coming. It's something I've been really pushing for, speaking about for a long time. We just had to wait for a few different kind of blocks to fall into the right places. Nathan to be ready, Joyce to obviously vacate, me to be in the right places as well. So it seems that everything's aligned, which is perfect. I'm happy. Nathan's happy. It's just about now us figuring out the finer details and working out the date.
Does it make much of a difference to you that it is your promoter that's won the bids? Not just because you've got the kind of semi-home advantage, you probably place it in London, you would think, but also just the familiarity of what you do going into a fight won't change.
Yeah, of course. It's always nicer to kind of have that, like you say, home advantage. Is it a home advantage? Not massively. Like you get, maybe I might get a nicer changing room or something like that. Like what's it like? What's the big deal, really? Something like that. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it's nice that it's just familiar. I know the people that deal with all the bits and bobs that are related to the events, like tickets or whatever that I need to sort, any issues, things like that. So it makes the process for me, anyways, like a lot easier.
And were you at all surprised that it came together so easily? You know, obviously Nathan signed with Wasserman or Boxer or both, I believe. Were you surprised that it was quite easy to make as it turned out?
Not really, no, because Ed and the Sowland Bros and Wasserman, they've worked together on numerous different shows, numerous different occasions, and they've always even said themselves they've got a good working relationship. They can quite easily put together a co-promotion. They don't really mind. There's no qualms between them at all. They're easygoing in sense of getting good fights put together. And obviously Wasserman want to do the best for their man and get him a good fight, and Ed wants to do the same for me. So there was no real stumbling blocks at all. It was literally just waiting on Joe to do his thing.
And yourself and Nathan, both very nice guys, seem to get on very well. Could that be a problem in a way, in that, you know, are you the sort of fighter that needs to get a bit between your teeth to need to kind of work your way up to disliking your opponent?
No, not at all. Not at all. That's never been my thing. It's never been my style. I think maybe the only time you really saw that come out of me, and even in the slightest, and even then I was still pissing around, was with the Simon Village thing, where I was playing around with the mustache and we were having a bit of a go at the press conference and stuff. Like, the thing is with me, I don't force it. If it's there, if I do have a disdain for you or an issue or something, then you'll know about it. That's no problem. I haven't got an issue with that at all. Or if you want to start getting mouthy and start doing this and that on social media and stuff, I can play those games too. That's perfectly fine. But for the most part, if you're being respectful, I'm being respectful. I've got no issue on trying to force those situations. I think that's very easy for the boxing public to see when someone's really trying to force them situations, and it just puts a bit of a stain on the character, really.
What do you make of Nathan as a fighter? I'm sure you're going to keep it as respectful as we've just talked about, but where do you see as his main strengths or threats to you?
Don't get me wrong, he's a very good fighter, very good fighter. I think probably his biggest strength is, one, his pedigree in terms of background. Obviously comes from a great fighting family, and he was in the GB squad and things like that as a kid. So he's had a long time in boxing. He's got fast hands and puts his combos together well. So they're all good points for him. Maybe his weight is an issue for him sometimes. We've seen him come in really heavy sometimes, which isn't ideal. So how does that work in terms of going on for the later rounds and things like that? So that's probably his biggest problem. Is, I wouldn't even necessarily say fitness, because I don't think he's particularly unfit either. I just think carrying that extra weight sometimes is obviously a drag on you and takes away from you. So how well he deals with that will obviously be a big factor in the fight with us. But for the most part, he's got some good attributes there. I just think that mine are sharper.
You've been pretty active. You had a couple of fights already this year. Last time out, probably not ideal scenario for you. You got Chris Healey came in at very short notice. Just tell us kind of the story behind that and what your mindset was like, given the problems that were going on.
Yeah, to be fair, firstly, before that, even that's probably another one to add on to Nathan Gorman's kind of, not to even say disadvantages, but his kind of flaws is that as of late, he hasn't really fought too much either.
Mm.
He's, and I think in the past 18 months or maybe even a bit more, he's only had about 2 fights, if that. So that may be another little problem for him, a little bit of ring rust, because he did fight obviously recently, but it was only 1 round. So what do you really get from that? But Chris Healey, the situation was I was scheduled to fight Kingsley Ebe, who is quite a solid fighter, good, durable, been in with some decent people. Switch hitter as well, so he's awkward. So he posed a lot of different questions, different problems, something we liked. He looked the part as well. He was built quite well. But I don't know, somehow he wasn't allowed into the country. The word I heard is that he was still on some sort of parole or ban, or he was waiting on some sort of judgment or something, and didn't tell the people he should have told in advance, and just tried to get the flight basically and get over here. And then we got the word a couple of days before that he wasn't going to be allowed in the country, which obviously left us in a bit of a predicament. Obviously, I wanted to make sure I fought, make sure I got out at least, and didn't want to waste the training camp. So that's where Chris Healey stepped in, and credit to him. Like I say, it's always hard to just step in on a quick notice like that, especially with sometimes in Healey's case, his shape, the way he looks and stuff. It's not always ideal. He could have done with a full camp or whatever, but ultimately, sometimes the ring is good, especially with the southpaw as well. Something a little bit different, just to try out some new things, work on a few different bits and bobs. So there was a couple of boxes ticked there. Not really the ones we wanted, but in any case, something's better than nothing.
Yeah, definitely. And there was a bit of talk beforehand as well that a fight between yourself and Carlos Takam for that show could have been made or was close. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, there was conversations back and forth. I don't know the details of kind of where it all went wrong, because more or less there's a bunch of names that get thrown around, and I say yes to whoever. I'm not really bothered. Like I want to keep going. I want to stay busy and stay active. And we were in a position where we were running out of options. People were saying no, and they wanted more time. They wanted this and that. So that's how we ended up on the Carlos Takam thing. So I'm not really sure where that went south either. I don't know if he didn't have if it was a money issue, if he didn't feel he had enough time, or I'm not really sure. I don't know where the details of that went south, but all I heard was that was off the table now.
And Gorman obviously will be the biggest fight of your career so far. Not necessarily the toughest test. We'll see in the ring, of course. Are you going to make any changes, or have you made any changes to your training setup or regime or anything in the build up to that you haven't done previously?
No, not really. Like I say, the biggest one, the big reveal almost was me that I've been working with Ben Davison for the past since the beginning of the year, which is something we both kind of just kept under our hat, not for any particular reason, just because I'm quite a private person anyway, and if I'm working on some new bits and I've got some new plans, new tactics, new bits I want to add to my game, I'm not really trying to share those too early so people can look into them. And so far, it's been a great working relationship. I really feel like it's helped me leaps and bounds. I feel so much more comfortable, switched on, and just smarter in the ring with Ben's advice, Ben's assistance, him being around. Robert Hodgins is still my main prime coach. He's still there. I just split it between both. And then when I do go and train with Ben as well, my main coach, Rob, comes as well. So we can learn as a team, as opposed to me just running off and doing one thing and then coming back and doing another.
What would you say, and everyone knows by now that Ben's a world-class coach, but what would you say he's added to you specifically so far?
Reason. He's given me a reason to do things, whereas sometimes I'm very impulsive. I'll just do things because it seems like that opportunity is there, or it just seems easy to do, or however. He's given me reason and process, I think is the biggest things for me. So he'll say you do this because you want this outcome, and then when you get that outcome, then you look for the next and the next and the next. And he's taught me that it's not just about the the first combination, the first punch. It's about the fifth, the sixth, the seventh. It's what you're setting up for. It's never about now. It's always about later. So there were some crucial things, and it just everything he says, like they're simple things to say and explain, but they all make so much sense. They really click with me, especially the way he delivers them. So yeah, it's been working really well.
And what's it been like being around the caliber of fighters he's got in that gym as well?
Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice to have that kind of buzz, because in my gym, it's just primarily me. We do have a few more up and coming younger lads who are either looking to turn pro or had their debut. They're in 1 or 2 fights and things like that. So in my gym, I'm the top guy. I'm the one that's here, there, and everywhere without sounding any sort of arrogant at all. But when I go to obviously Ben's gym, and you're surrounded by Lee Wood, Josh Taylor, and Billy Joe's been there a bit and things like that, then it's nice to be just in that kind of gym environment where everyone's laughing, joking, messing around and stuff, but I can still sit and watch and learn and see what these guys do and how they train, and again, reasons why they do certain things, what they're looking for, what outcome they're looking for.